Okay, so first things first, this is a business, and I'm just going to assume, hi Carlos! I'm just going to assume from this point on that your acting is solid, okay? We're not going to talk about acting today, but just know that it is a two-pronged approach. If you have the business stuff down, but none of the acting stuff down, you will be known to casting directors in a very bad way because they're going to call you in and you are not going to be prepared and you're going to blow your audition with them. And a lot of casting directors, if you blow that audition with them the first time, they are going to wait until they forget you to call you in. So I'm going to assume that the acting part of it is all taken care of, okay? Because even if you're good at the business, and on the other side of that too, if you're an amazing actor, but you don't know how to handle the business side of it, it's nothing either because you're going to be acting and you have nobody to represent you. You don't know how to handle the business part of it. So I'm just going to assume that everybody's fabulous, okay? We'll just go from that point. You are the product, meaning if you're the actor, you are what you are selling, and also the parents are part of it. So just know that, you have to be the best that you can be as an actor, always be learning, always be, sharpening your skills, whatever you can do to, be better. I'm super, competitive. Whatever you can do to give yourself an edge because this is such a competitive industry, you do it. Of course, in, keeping all ethical standards and all that stuff. Hi, guys. Where was I? Parents are also part of that. So as much as the kids are the product, parents are part of that package. So parents have to be very grounded and very aware about the safety of their kids. So just, you're always going to be within sight and sound of your child at all times. That's kind of like a rule. So any directors, any producers that tell you not to be there, because that has happened, that is not true. Be within sight and sound of your child. And if you have any weird feelings, just pay attention to those because there are people that are scammy and people that are, creepy. So just, be protectors of your children. But on the other side of that, you also want to be easy to work with. So there was one audition where we were seeing a lot of kids, and there were the producer and director was there, but the grandmother of the child came and went behind the desk and looked at everything that they were doing. So there's that, even though the child was amazing, because the parents were kind of weird about it, that child was not considered for this particular role. Another case for that is that there was an agency that was doing an open call here, and the kid was all right. He definitely had a great look and was something, they didn't have enough people on their roster that looked like him. But the parents just, they were not grounded. They gave off a very desperate kind of my kid's a star energy. So you also have to watch out for that. This is a business and, it's really not about dreams. A lot of the Disney things that you hear on the radio where they are the scams, they will capitalize on that. They'll be we'll make your child a star. So just know, I'm just kind of want to set this out that you act because you love it, because it feeds your soul, because you feel alive when you do it. And you enter the business because you want to make money doing it, because it's fun. But it's not a star-making thing, It's definitely hard work, and it's because you love being on set. Hi, guys. Just choose wherever you want to sit. Anywhere. There's 2 seats there. There's the couch. There's some over there. They say that it's 40 auditions to a booking when you start, so just be aware of that. It does take time to gather traction in the industry. But you act because you love it, and there could be no other reason than that. So kids that, they're I'm going to homeschool and I'm going to do all this. Okay, yes, when you get to a point and that works for your family, that's cool. But also know what other things that you enjoy in life, because that actually makes you a better actor too. So just, you have to be grounded about it. Know that it is hard work, and it's not like an overnight success. A lot of the people that you admire that are like actors or they're series regulars, they've been working since they were little. If you look up on IMDb, some of these kids, they've been working since they were 6, and they didn't really get known until they were 20. So they've been working in the industry for a very, very long time. So just know that it's not like an overnight success thing. This is something that you do work at. Okay. So with that being like the basis of everything, be grounded. This is not like a super, you can be an overnight success. This is something that you put time into. And let's talk about the business stuff of it. Okay, so first thing is that you need, actually for kids, first thing is that you need a work permit for minors. So entertainment work permit for minors, you can Google it. That is the first thing that is going to be necessary for you guys, because you cannot get on to SF casting. Agents don't want to necessarily consider you until you have that. But the first thing that you're going to need to start auditioning is headshots. So headshots are what the casting director sees if they don't know you, and it's also what you're going to be submitting to agents and managers. With headshots, you don't want to go to somebody that's, you can't go to your, friend that's a wedding photographer, because that, even though they might take amazing wedding pictures or amazing business portraitures, they don't know what agents are looking for in terms of headshots. So in order to not waste your time and money, just go to somebody that's reputable, and I can give you guys a list of people up here in the Bay Area for that. And know what your type is. So with girls, a lot of the time they will sometimes make them look way too old for their age. So just watch that. For guys, they think about like bright clothing. What type are you going out for? Make a list of, the characters that you see on TV that kind of fit in your age and your type range, and see what they're wearing. See what kind of characters that they're playing. Try to do it that way. See what kind of clothing they're wearing. And then if you're like a super happy, peppy person like me, right? This is what I kind of give off when in the room. I'm not going to have a super sexy shot. Does that make sense, you guys? So know what it is that you're going to go in for. If you have kind of an image, or not an image, but like different roles that you can believably play, that makes it easier for your photographer to capture what it is that you're selling for agents and managers. So headshots, go to somebody that's reputable. If you guys see the headshots over there, kind of like on the wall behind you, there are some of them that are really amazing where you are drawn into them, and that's usually it's usually because of what's happening in the eyes, okay? Casting directors will look at these about 100 at a time on the page. So that's why if the casting director does not know you, your headshot needs to stand out. And it's about, so kids or people that are in my class, it's about the intention that you put into the headshot. So for example, if you are thinking, okay, if you play like, if you're like mischievous, okay, and you like have like a mischievous quirk about you that that you can sell that. So thinking about somebody that, you play a trick on, and like, I wonder if this person might, whatever it is, having that as a thought in your eyes when you take the headshot, that will spark it, okay? Or like if you know that you're like a super polite, kind of like very subtle kind of actor, and you just have a thought of like, oh God, I wonder if he likes me, in the headshot, that will read. So when you go and you take your headshot session, just think about those things. The characters that you play, also having a thought in your head. So it's not just like, do I look pretty in this picture? Because that will be blank in the eyes, and that's not what casting is looking for. Casting is looking for somebody that can act. When they go through 100 pictures per page, they're going to look for that sparks them. That's why your headshot is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing. Make sure that it also reflects your type. So, and I know that, parents, you're going to be investing a lot into your children if they actually go into the industry. Having the right headshot, especially if they go into LA, is very, very important. So I did a headshot session with this really great guy in LA in December, and that got me an agent, which was great. But the headshots ended up being too dark for my personality. So even though they were great headshots to get an agent, once the agent got to know me and knew the things that I could play, we had to go for something lighter and brighter. Because the casting directors were calling me in for these really darker roles that, that have more gravitas towards it, but I don't have as much gravitas as somebody else. So you have to make sure that your headshot really pinpoints who you are or what it is that you are selling. So headshot photographers, for those of you with your notes, that headshot photographers that are good in the Bay Area, KLG Photography. Here's where I can use this thing. KLG Photography. Sorry that my writing is horrible. Heidi Allethauser. I don't know how to spell her last name, but I know that I can get to her website by heidi.smugbug.com. Let me see. Let's see. Norbert's pretty good. Cynthia Smalley. I don't know Blue Sky, but I liked their pictures. Blue Sky. Katerina. Oh yeah, Katerina. Yeah. Katerina. I don't know what her thing.
Katerina Stanich, S-T-A-N-I-C.
Stanich.
S-T-A-N-I-C.
Like that?
Yep.
Yeah. Lily Kay is kind of like a celebrity-ish photographer, so Lily Kay. I don't know. Lily Kay Photography. Okay, so these are, when you look at their stuff, some of these are much better with kids than they are with adults. And some of them also include styling for the kids, which I think makes a really big difference. But don't get too overly styled. You don't want to, especially if you're on the acting side. I don't know anything about the modeling side, so I'm not a good person to ask about that. But for actors, you need a good theatrical headshot, which is your more dramatic stuff, and a good commercial headshot. So that's like you're smiling, full teeth, bright colors. So those are the two main ones that you need as an actor. Okay. And also, I wanted to show you guys what it looks like from the casting side. Why you need really great headshots. So this is as small as they see. So casting directors, this is a small, and it's actually smaller than this. It's like a 1 by 1 inch that casting directors see. So your headshots have to really pop. If the casting directors does not know you, then your headshot is the first thing that they're going to see even before they click on your resume. So that's why they have to be amazing. Generally, I think the lower end headshots are like 200-300, right? Mm-hmm. And then the higher end ones are 600-ish. What I do personally, because I do this SF and LA market, and I'm more down in LA, I shoot down in LA because LA has different standards than San Francisco does. So Norbert's a very San Francisco headshot photographer. KLG is more LA because she moved up here, but she's getting a little bit more SF these days. But Lily Kay is more LA. Katerina, I don't know her work too much, but it feels like she's a little bit, she's a little.
She could go both ways.
Yeah, that's what I feel like on her.
She styles too.
Yeah, and she does a lot of modelly stuff. And for those of you that are wanting to do commercial print, you might need a couple of lifestyle active shots. Anyway, so, but just these are the ones that I know of up here. You don't want to go to an agent or manager that says you have to use this particular photographer, because usually what that means is that they're getting a kickback from those. So just be aware of that. Okay, so headshots. You need really good headshots that look like you on a good day, that reflect your typing. So it might be like a very pretty picture, but if it doesn't reflect your typing, then that doesn't serve you well. Theatrical and commercial, okay, are headshots that you need. Theatrical being more drama, commercial being the smiley, I can I can share with you anything. I'm not sell you anything, but I can share everything with you. Okay, so that's headshots. Okay, that's the very first thing that you need. Resumes. Okay, so if you guys are on SF Casting, you know that there's a 3-column format. For those of you that aren't on SF Casting yet, I will send you a link to, or I'll email you like a prototype of like a resume. But since a lot of you don't have a lot of experience, your name can be really big on the resume, and you can put a photo of yourself on the resume. And for the younger kids, it's not going to matter if you don't have a lot of experience. But so the experience, the categories, you can have film, TV. Here, you can separate these out the more credits that you get. So let's say TV is first, okay? The categories are title of show, okay, in the very left-hand side, so this is for you guys. Size of role in the middle column, and then production company director on the third column, okay? To make it really, really easy to read. Same thing, so for for TV, usually the size of role is series lead, which is like top of the show, series regular, which is, still top of the show, still getting that weekly paycheck. Guest star, which means this particular episode cannot happen without you. Like, you are what the episode is surrounded by. Like, you make this episode happen. And then co-star, which is, either a more minor role than the guest star, or like it could be the hot dog vendor on that street just to give it atmosphere. Okay. You also have recurring. So if you're on the show more than once, and that could be recurring guest star, recurring co-star. So those are the categories for for TV. For film, you have supporting and lead, and that's pretty much it. Okay. So for film, the left-hand column is the title of the film, middle is the size of the role, and the end is director or production company. Okay. Up here in San Francisco, if you need to have this, you can have the industrials. So industrials are the non-broadcast stuff that the companies up here film. But if you need something on your resume, then yes, title of the industrial, size of the role, production company on the right-hand side. And then everybody, no matter if you're a beginning actor or not a beginning actor, everybody has a commercial, even if you haven't done any commercials. And what you put under there is you put conflicts available upon request. Even if you've never, ever done commercials. Because that's what, all actors will have that, and it'll be like, okay, so if an actor did Toyota 3 years ago but that's no longer playing, they can't put Toyota on their resume because they can't be called in for a Ford commercial. Ford will not call them in. So every single actor has conflicts available upon request. It just makes you look more professional. And then if you've never done any commercials, you just say, I don't have any current conflicts right now. And that's how you get around that. So commercials, and then training. So for those of you that don't have a lot of experience, bump it up on the training. So that is, any theater that you've done. Also, you guys, I forgot that for experience. Theater. Name of the show, and actually not the size of the role for theater, the actual role name for theater, and then the theater company on the right-hand side. So, and then after that, you can do the training. And that's where you can bump up your resume is the training if you don't have a lot of experience. And then you do special skills. Hi!
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it. Come on in. Special skills is anything that you can do well. Okay? So anything that like swimming, like athletics, any languages are huge. So I would say languages and instruments at the top of the special skills, and then sports. And make sure that you can do them, because they will call you in for those. And sometimes casting directors like to call you on things. Like, if some people love to put lots of accents, and they cannot do them. So,
It's like Giovanna could do this eyebrow.
okay.
Like,
I totally do that.
Okay.
So
like,
I
yeah,
actually
yeah.
have wiggly eyebrows and upper lip because nobody can do this.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
on my, So if it's something like that,
So unique.
yeah,
Okay.
then do it. Burping on command is like one that she can put. So, works well with children and animals, not so much. You know what I mean? But if you have a degree in like veterinary skills, you know what I mean? That makes more sense. So, any questions so far for headshot and resume?
You know, I thought they wanted to know if your child is easy with animals, because a lot of kids are very scared of animals. So I thought that was important. Not anymore.
Nope, not so much.
So don't put that in.
Yeah, don't put easy.
No.
Works well with animals.
No.
Works well with children.
Okay.
I think because it's becoming more of a thing, like can drive stick shift. They used to hate that, but I think now it's like kind of coming back if you know how to drive stick shift, because not a lot of people know how to do it anymore. Any special certifications that you have is good for the special skills. You do not want to put any, like people don't necessarily put college stuff, but if you want to fill that out, like then you could do that. You want to keep your training, if you have training, acting, dance, singing related for the training. If you need to fill it up, and then as you get more credits, then you start closing it down. Ways to get credits is do a lot of theater shows. There's also short films that you can do up here with the schools, so you'll see those on SF Casting. Get involved with the different movie making teams that are up here. So making movies across the Bay Area, I think, right, JD?
Yeah.
MMTB is one. Scary Cow is another one. Just any movie making teams, even if it's not shown, it's still experience.
What is it called? TV or Scary Cow?
Scary Cow and MMTB are these MMTB.
MTV?
MMTB.
Oh,
I think it stands for Making Movies Across the Bay Area. So MMTB. But any of those 48-hour film festivals where they put teams together during the weekend, those actually get IMDb credits. So if you can get involved with the 48-hour film festival, that's kind of fun to do to get more experience. And sometimes those will go on to go to film festivals and stuff. So that's fun.
But they go through SF Casting?
Sometimes they do.
So on like the film festivals,
Mhm.
do they encourage kids to do that stuff, or is that more for teen and adults?
No, they need some kids sometimes. Yeah, like some of my kids have done like a lot of the 48-hour film festivals, and just be there with your kids, and make sure that you like the team for that stuff. But yeah, I know that some teams have used children. Any other questions for the resume stuff?
Is academic related stuff good to put on a resume?
If you need to fill it out, like GPA 4.0, honor student, yes.
Like gifted and talented program?
Yeah, GATE program, like
Yeah,
you could put it under special skills, especially if you need to fill it up, you know what I mean? And make it easily readable, not like some crazy font. You could do a crazy font for your name as long as it's easily readable, but casting directors are just going to flip your headshot around and look at it at the back really quickly, if they're even looking at it in person. So headshots, does anybody have an example of a headshot with them today? Natalie, do you have your headshot? No? Okay. So they're on 8x10 paper. You can get them printed out at reproductions.com. There are different places that you could print them out once you get them, once you actually have a headshot session. Don't go to, Kinko's and pay $1.75 for each one. Unless it's like for the headshot, because there are places where you can actually get it cheaper. So once you get the headshot file from the photographer, you get it set up, put your name on the front, 8x10. It's up to you if you want it glossy or matte. Those are two different types of paper types. I generally like matte because glossy, if you hold it up, it has a little bit of reflection. So I like matte. You can choose photo quality or cardstock. I generally go with photo quality because I want casting directors to feel like, oh, quality actor. I think it's just a very subconscious level. So you staple your resume to the back of the headshot so that when they flip it around, they don't have to lift it up. Does that make sense, you guys? So you don't have to get a whole bunch printed up. You can get 50 printed up, and that's fine. that'll probably last you a long time because honestly, they're not asking for them as much these days. Yeah.
So they're not bringing in headshots when they go into audition?
Always have it with you, but they usually don't ask for it these days.
How about the name on the headshot?
Name on the front.
But is it the child's name or the stage name? How does that work?
Stage
That
name.
part confuses me a
Stage
little
name.
bit.
So, for those of you that have, yes, let's talk about stage names. So, because, they're minors and you want to protect them, a lot of parents used to have stage names so that they don't have, like, people calling them down the street where they're like, hey, Johnny, blah, 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 blah. If they call them by the stage name, then the kid knows that, okay, that's somebody that I really don't know, as opposed to, like, a family friend that maybe has met them beforehand. So sometimes that's why, parents choose to use stage names. I think it's a good idea. But have the stage name be on the headshot and resume, and then your agent will usually have the legal name. Or anytime you get paid.
Okay.
Yeah, you have the legal name. So headshots and resumes. Okay. So a lot of agents, they don't want to do a lot of hand-holding. Okay? That's why if you have your entertainment work permit already done and the headshot and resume, they are more inclined to take you. Because if you send in just a snapshot of your child, they know that the agent has to walk you through all of the steps to becoming, industry standard. So the more steps that you can do beforehand, the better. Now you might have a point, or like Ethan, who knows Ethan here? Yeah, Ethan. So Ethan is with JE, and he sent in snapshots that were really cute of him, same cover letter, same resume, did not get called in. Then he took professional shots, same cover letter, same resume, he got called in by 3 agencies. So it really does make a difference if you get professional, photos, because then they have to do less hand-holding, which is awesome. Okay, so cover letters. So up here in San Francisco, you want to know who specifically it is, what department it is, and address it to that department. Basically, agents just want to know that you are constantly getting better, that you are available for work, that your parents support you, and that you're a good actor. That's what they want to know. If you can include your personality in your cover letter, that would be great. Damien, back there, wrote an amazing cover letter. It highlighted how he is part of like an investment club and he does all these sports, and so we got a really good sense of who he was from the cover letter. And as teenagers, you're going to start having to do this for yourself, like cover letters and thank you letters and all that stuff with the approval of your parents. But teenagers, yes, get on this. Okay. So yes, cover letters. If you can put a little bit of your personality in it and address the person specifically and have those points of, you're constantly getting better, you're a bookable actor, you're available to work, and you have the backing of your parents. Those are the things that they really want to hear on that. In LA, they want to hear those things, but they actually don't care about your personality. And you don't have to address it to a specific agent because agents change so much down there. So it's just commercial department, young youth department for in LA. Up here, because it's more personal and it's a smaller industry, yes, make it personal and really reach out to that particular agent. And it's also good to, like, with any business letter, be like, I heard about you from blah, 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 and say they said really nice things about your agency, like, blah, 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 right? Before you do launch into yourself. Okay, so that's for cover letters. We cover work permit for minors. You need one of those until you're 18. If you are a teenager and you want to get around that, you can take the CHSPE. It's the California High School Proficiency Exam. They hold it twice a year. And you do not have to have an entertainment work permit anymore. It also makes you more valuable to producers because they can work you for more hours. So as you are younger, you could work smaller hours, and then as you get older, the amount of hours increases.
What age would that start at? 16? Like you can start doing that?
The CHSPE?
Yeah.
I think so. It's either 16 or you are in your second half of sophomore year.
Okay.
I think that's what that
How
is.
does it spell? How does it spell? CHSPE?
CHSPE, California High School Proficiency Exam. And you could still go to school Just
Right.
letting you guys know that. But it does, it makes you more available for work. Okay, so a reel. And this is, we're covering the tools of the trade because this is what you would want to include with your submission to agencies or managers. So a reel is kind of like a showcase of your work. If you have film stuff, generally 1 to 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, no more than that, because they can see what they want to see at that point in time. Make sure that it's good quality reel. You can usually get it from like Student Films if you haven't booked any shows yet. And if you can, put all the stuff that you would be booked for, or what they call as in your wheelhouse, the characters that you play the most at the very beginning of it. So, don't do any montages of like, me at the baseball game, me at, being right, no montages. Just your name, maybe your headshot, and go right into the acting. Okay? So just make sure that if you have a reel, put it on your website. Put all the stuff on your website if you have a website.
But they're real. They wouldn't be able to do until they've got a little
Bookwork,
bit
yeah.
of footage.
Yeah. So you need to have footage first. So you need to like.
For their age, since they're growing so fast, how far should that go? Like a year, 2 years?
For the reel?
Well, because
If it's good work and they're younger,
Yeah.
then still include it until you book something else that you can, refill. Like
how far back though do you switch up the reel?
well,
Couple
if
years?
you're talking about his like commercials thing
Right.
when he's like a baby.
No.
Yeah, I'd be like no.
No. How far back would you suggest we go? For,
I mean, if it's good work, you can go back. Yeah, it doesn't even like it's the amount is not really
Okay.
because if that's all you have, then that's all you have.
Uh-huh.
But as he books more work, then you replace it. And kids generally have to get their headshots updated once a year because they grow up so fast, and their changes. Generally, okay. If you still look the same, don't waste your parents' money. Okay? Because there are some kids that I know have done that because they like getting pictures taken. So, yeah, if the pictures work for you, then stay with them, but update them when you change. Okay? And generally, that's like once a year for kids. As you get older, you don't have to do it as much. Yay! Okay, so postcards and marketing material. So, let's assume that you have an agent. You've sent your cover letter, resume, and your headshot to an agent. They call you in, you get interviewed, and they like you and they pick you up. Okay? Then you're going to have to start marketing. Let's actually talk about the agency interview. So, agency interview, they're probably going to have you do a cold read for commercials and possibly a monologue for Up Here. Possibly. So, those are two things that you have to be prepared for. They might talk to your parents, and they might talk to you. So what they're looking for is that the parents are generally flexible with their schedule, with their work schedule, because they don't want to be sending you out for things that you can't get to, because that's not going to make them any money. Also, that I know this is a weird question, but if they say, are you a vegan? You're like, I don't mind doing commercials for McDonald's. You know what I mean? So sometimes they will throw out questions like that. The more stuff that you can go out for, the better. So they will ask you these questions, but generally it's like, okay, how available is this person? How available are their parents? And what can we send them out for? Okay, so imagine that you got an agent already and you're going out for auditions, right? So you have to make yourselves known to the casting people. And that includes like postcards, your marketing material, your websites. If you have a website that's dedicated to acting, then you could put that on your business cards and your postcards. I use a service called Vistaprint, and I do postcards for every single mail out that I do. I do specific postcards. So some actors like to just buy a whole bunch of postcards with their headshot and resume on it, with their agency information, and just write, hi, I heard that you were casting this. I think I'd be a great fit for this role, and send those. I do specific ones. So they say that it takes about 7 times for people to know who you are, make a face name connection in different formats, whether it's an audition, whether it's postcards, seeing your headshot, seeing you online. So the more that you can put yourself out there in a non-annoying way, the better. And the non-annoying way meaning when you actually have something to say. So you don't want to send out a poster being like, hi, right? If you finished a class, you can send out a postcard to the casting directors and say, hi, I just finished blah, 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 blah. You know, if you book something, hi, I just booked blah, 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 blah. If it airs, hi, this just aired, blah, 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 blah. You know, if it's at a film festival. All these things are opportunities that you can send out postcards or some kind of marketing material to casting directors or producers or directors or agents that you have on your target list. Okay? Vistaprint is a good one because they make it for me, and I also upload a list to them, and then they just go ahead and send it for me. And it's less time, you know, for me to like actually write it and mail it and address it. So that's a good resource that I've used. Some people use moo.com, you know, just wherever. If you have business cards, then when you go to these networking meetings or whatever, you put it into your thank you cards. Kids send thank you cards after every audition. Then you have it there. I use something called Thank You Pro. So I'm telling you guys all my secrets to make it streamlined and easier for me. And it lets me do it to the casting director, and I can also imprint my business stuff there. Because they're not necessarily going to save my business card. They're not going to save the postcard. It's just you want them to see it. Once they see it with your name and your face, your job is done, even if it gets thrown into the wastebasket. Like, that's the point, just so that they see it. Okay, so postcards, marketing material, websites, okay. Okay, any questions so far on this first little bit?
I just have a question about the thank you card. So
Mhm.
like after an audition,
I'm just like, yeah, thank you so much for calling me in for the role of blah, blah, blah on this project. It was really fun. You know?
and how do you know who to send it to? Like to the agents? Like
I usually,
Nancy Hayes?
yeah, I usually send it to the casting director, and if the session runner, if I know what the session runner's name is, I will include that. Until they get to know who I am, I will do that. So some of my kids that are with the bigger agencies in LA, their LA agents are like, no, don't do that. That's too desperate, right? And you could totally listen to that if you want to. You know, I do it because until they know who I am, what's so bad about saying thank you? Nothing, right? Yeah. And here's another thing that I do is that I make sure that my thank you cards match the branding that I'm doing, so the essence of like what I'm putting out there. So I'm not gonna send like a thank you card with like, you know, like a really moody landscape on it because I'm not that. I make it brighter. You know what I mean? Does that make sense, you guys?
Is your thank you card just a generic thank you card or with your picture on it?
I make it very specific. I pick out, this is my thing, I pick out cartoons that I like and I use that as a thank you card, and then I'll put my my headshot and resume on the inside of it.
After, like
I
do it,
mail
like,
mine the
next
day
day?
of.
the day? Okay.
I totally mail because with this thank you pro thing, it's very simple for me to do, and plus I will forget to do it if I don't. You know what I mean? Let me see.
So when we go to say Nancy Hayes for an audition, we should ask for the name of the session runner?
You can.
or-
You could totally do that. And be like, just, oh, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, nice to meet you. Thank you so much, you know? So this is what I did. This is an example of a postcard that I did for LA. So it just says, Giovanni Spiritu just finished Killian's adult commercial class with the most chill dog ever, and then it has my agency stuff information.
Hold it up.
And you see? So that's an example of one that I did for Vistaprint. And it has my headshot, and it's like a weirdo group picture, but but it fits my, you know, my casting. Like I get called in for quirky a lot. So this is quirky looking, you know? And it got me called in to different commercial casting offices that I hadn't been to. So this is just an example.
There's a little doggy in there.
Yeah, there's a dog. So, but yeah, so thank you cards, I send it the day of, because otherwise I will forget. Any other questions for this little bit?
Sorry, I want to go back to the cover letter. I
Okay.
know you mentioned that we need to be specific, like the name.
Yeah.
How do we
Know who
figure-
it is?
Yeah, how
Do
do
a
we
lot of
research?
internet searching. So just do a lot of internet research. Google them, Google the agency, and see who is the head of the kids division or the on-camera division, and address it to them. Any other questions for this part? Nope.
I have one question for the website. How early on will they need a website?
That's totally up to you.
Do you think once things are?
I like having a website just because you could put it on the business stuff, you know, like for the postcards and the, business cards, and it's a dedicated space for their stuff. You know, I mean, they're gonna have an SF casting probably for up here and an Actors Access one, but something that's like dedicated specifically is kind of nice.
I see.
Yeah. Since we're talking about websites, so a lot of kids now have like the Instagram social media accounts and the Facebook accounts, and that is becoming more of a thing. Just be aware of the people that follow your kids, because that's, it's weird sometimes.
Yeah.
Just be safe about that whole thing.
Yeah.
But it is a thing. For some of my students that have had, media followings of like 150,000 people following them, they've gotten in on really big auditions just because of their social media following. They're called influencers. And sometimes casting directors are looking, or producers are looking for people that have a following online, so that even if they're not really great actors, they can market to that crowd if they're in a particular movie. So, but just be safe about it, because it's kind of a weird thing, just be safe. Okay, so all done with those questions? Okay, so now let's talk about the people. So the people on your team is your agent. You can do a lot of self-submissions on stuff, and self-submission is really important, meaning that you will submit yourself for roles. But your agent is really important because usually the bigger roles and the roles with more budgets will be sent directly to the agents. So some agents are SAG franchise. SAG is the union for actors, and that's where you usually know, okay, is this agent legit or not? But it's generally about the reputation, because Stars is not SAG franchise. They're ATA franchise. They're part of that membership group. They take, I think, 10% on union jobs and 20% on non-union or modeling jobs. That's the general rate for that. They cannot ask you for money up front. If they ask you for money up front, they're probably a scam. They only make money when you make money, which is why they're only going to take people that they really feel can book work. So that's your agent. They can tell you, however, that your marketing material is not so great. And they can tell you, those are like things that they can tell you, but going to a specific photographer, no. Going to a list of people that they recommend, that's okay. I generally like to, if you have more than one choice of agent, that's really great. I like to go by the gut feeling, who is the most excited to represent you. That's kind of what I go by. And if I just feel really good with them, that's what I go by. If you can look up their, anytime you can do a Google search, your due diligence, it's great. But that's your agent. Okay, so managers. Managers are unregulated. They can be part of the TMA, which is the Managers Association or something like that, but generally sometimes they're not, and they're unregulated. They can submit you on jobs, but they're not technically allowed to negotiate. Agents negotiate. But in San Francisco, you're not really going to need a manager because the industry is so small up here. But if you are looking to make the leap to LA, that's kind of where managers can be helpful. So they can introduce you to agents, they can, submit you for jobs. It's more about their network for management. Managers can make anywhere from 10 to, I've seen some 30%, but that's, so managers, they're not really necessary for the San Francisco market, but when you get into the LA market, then they're more necessary if they have good connections.
You don't pay them up front too, do you?
No. but you pay them in addition to your agent.
Right.
So if your agent's getting 10% and your manager's getting 15%, that's like 25% of your paycheck already. So just be aware of that too.
So at what level do you really need a manager? I mean, when you're first starting out, you don't. I mean,
For this market, no, you don't really need one. If you're going to the LA market, then sometimes it's helpful because the managers can introduce you to agents.
okay.
Yeah. So it just depends on what you want.
Okay.
But if you're just staying up in this market, then it's not really necessary. Picking an agent. So I said I like going by the gut feeling of how you feel with the agent and who's more excited about you. You also want to think about, are they a big agency or a little agency, and what do you like? Because sometimes even if like an agency is very prestigious, if you don't have like the career where you would be, there all the time or like thought of all the time, then it might be better to go to a smaller boutique agency where you are one of their best clients and they send you out for everything and they work hard for you. And so they're, same thing with big agencies and boutique agencies here. I used to be with a bigger agency here that was well known, but I moved to a smaller, still really good reputation agency because I wanted to be thought of all the time. It just felt better, So that's also up to you, like what feels better. Let me see.
And how do you go about moving agencies?
So if you're not,
Politely.
yeah, if you're not happy with your current agent, I would personally seek out meetings and talk with an agency before I send my letter out. Before I send my letter of like, thank you so much, I've appreciated the time that we've been together, but I am moving on. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah. So, but I would make sure that I've gotten set up with another agent first. So picking an agent, go with one that feels good with your gut. If you want to go with a boutique one or with people with that's bigger. Keeping an agent. So I like to think about agents like dating.
Like what?
Like dating. I like to think, yeah. So somebody that I like, somebody that's really excited about me, somebody that is gonna send me out there and like be my cheerleader. I also treat that relationship like dating. So the first time that I booked something with my agents, I sent them a really nice bouquet because it just sets things up on a good foot. Keep them updated on things that you're doing. So don't just be like, hey, what's going on? Why am I not getting out there? You want to send them emails when you have information that's good, like you took a class or you met a director that's casting this blah 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 thing. And the more information that you can give them that's concise, that gets to the point, the better. So you don't want to send them like huge paragraphs of things because they're answering phones all the day and their job is to get you into the audition, right? So like a piece of information that would be good is like, oh, I met this director and he's casting for this. I saw this particular role, which is just like this role that I did. See how that can help them with a pitch if they're going to pitch you, instead of just, I met this director, what are they going to do with that? I don't know. So try to make it specific and concise in your when you're talking to them. I've had people that I know of that have been very like, oh, I saw that people were going out for this. How come I didn't go out for this? And then that puts you on that, oh, this is going to be a hard actor to work with. So you always want to be giving something that will help them, as opposed to like, why aren't you doing enough? You know what I mean? So keep your communications like that. It's all, anytime that I needed to go to the city, I tried to go in and I just brought like cookies. Like cookies aren't that expensive. Like once every 3 months, it's like nothing, right? Treat it like a dating relationship. It's something that you build, right? So that's agents and managers. Casting directors are on the other side of the table. So this is your selling team, right? This is all the people that are rawing for you. Casting directors, they're on this side. So they work for the production company. The casting directors work for the producers and the directors. Their job is to be the gatekeeper. So casting directors for one role in LA, like one kind of nondescript role, like 20s, open ethnicity, female, okay? 3,000 submissions. Casting directors will bring in probably 20 people, 20 to 80 people for that role. It will be narrowed down to possibly 3 or 4 to bring to producers, and then they will book from that. So casting director's job is to just whittle the pool of applicants to bring in amazing people so that the producers and directors can make their choices. So even though, you know, casting directors are always like, we're on your side as an actor, we want you to be amazing, they work for the production company. It's anytime you guys audition, the goal is to make a fan of the casting director and not necessarily book the role. You don't know if that role is right for you, you know? Like there have been so many times, like some of you guys know this. So I was sitting in a producer-director session for a new show, and it was a series regular role. This was the final callbacks for producers and directors, and this girl came in and she blew everybody away, right? She was super amazing, super pretty. She understood, like, all the 15 people that they brought in for the callbacks, they were all amazing. 3 stood out, but this one particular girl was just like, oh, amazing, right? She's a star, and like that was the conversation in the room. She's a star, she needs to lead her own show, blah, blah, blah. She was so good, da, 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 da. And she might not be cast because she was too tall for the lead guy that they already cast. So even as amazing as she was, she still didn't get the job for some other thing. So the goal is to not book the job. The goal is to do the best that you can, bring your version of that job to it. But the real goal is to book the casting office because they will continue to call you in if you do good work. So producers and directors, it depends on film and TV. Some producers are the ones that have the money that are kind of funding everything. Directors, that's their vision, right? So casting directors bring their choices into the directors and producers, and the directors and producers make their choices, and then the film gets cast. Da, da, da. Advertising agencies sometimes, or the network, or the network, depending on what the project is. Advertising agencies are another layer of approval for commercials, because you have to be approved by the ad agency for whatever campaign it is. And then if it's like TV or film, it's more TV. So if it's TV, you have to be approved by the network. So not only do you have to be approved by the casting director, you have to be approved by the director, and then you have to be approved by the producers, and then you have to be approved by the network. So for series regulars roles, you can possibly have like 7 auditions.
I was just curious how your agent sees you when you self-submit. Just wondering what their view is.
What do you mean?
With trying
okay.
via SF casting or like.
Gotcha. So some agents like it because you're being proactive in your career and that you are building your resume. Some agents hate it, and it just depends on who the agent is. When I was with kind of like a bigger agency here, I self-submitted on all kinds of things, and if the pay was above $100, then I told them about it, and then I just gave it to them. You know what I mean? But just be careful of that, because there are some advertising agencies that will try to kind of be cheap about stuff. So I'll give you an example. There was a particular project that I self-submitted to. I went into the audition, I booked it, the photographer told me that I booked it, and then I brought it to my agent, right? So I did all this work that the agency didn't have to do, but when it came time to negotiate it, I gave it to them, okay? Because I knew that it was over a certain amount of money. And this is what happened, is that when I got on set, I got 5 figures for that job, and the other actor that self-submitted only got 3 figures. So, just understanding when the right time would be to bring it to your agent. Sometimes you do short films that only have $100, and you know that the filmmaker is a super indie filmmaker, and you're just doing it for the credit and for the reel. I don't think agents are really concerned about that. So I don't think it's something that they really care about.
So, when you booked it, what did you just told him like talk to my agent now or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just went to my agency. I said, hey, I went in for this, this thing. The photographer liked me. He already said that I got it. Can you handle it? And my agent said, oh yeah, I sent blah 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 on that too. That you know.
So you don't tell the photographer to contact, tell the agency to contact them. Okay.
Yes.
You just agreed with the photographer.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I did. You know, but just feel it out on different, you know, different projects.
So they can negotiate for you for more money, or?
Yes. Yeah, and that's what agents are supposed to do. So if you see something on, like, say, SF Casting, and it's by, like, a big advertising agency, or if it's for a big product, I would think that they're trying to get cheap actors for that. So that would be something that I feel would be in conflict with an agent. But if it's like an independent film that, you know, the budget is under $100,000 and they're just trying to fill these roles and it's the producer's passion project, then I feel like that's different, you know?
Because it's
So-
kind of hard to gauge, but.
Yeah, you have to feel things out, so. Zoe,
How do you find an agent to begin with?
how do you find H? So on my website, sfactorsworkshop.com, there should be a tab that says resources. In San Francisco, there are only about 8 to 10 agents up here that are really, that actually do stuff. And about 5 that are really well known. In LA, though, there's over 300 agents and 300 casting directors. So the industry down there is way, way huge. If you guys look on the agency website, see if they take email submissions, and if they don't, send a hard copy into their offices. Personalize it, okay, and the workshop. So once you do have an agent and you are consistent in your work, meaning that you know, it's not a hit or miss in your auditioning process, like you are pretty good, like you feel really confident about your acting, and your booking stuff, you want to start doing workshops. So workshops with casting directors, workshops with agents and managers if you don't have one. So sometimes they will have workshops where there's like a showcase for like 5 agents or 5 managers. In LA, sometimes they're like $79. Don't get taken for the ones that are like several hundreds or thousands of dollars, because those are scams. Workshops in LA are generally $35 to $65 per casting director. So that is the price. Sometimes you'll see workshops that are really expensive, and I don't necessarily recommend those. I would suggest making a target list of the casting directors that you want to see and hit them up on the workshops and start sending, you know, thank you cards, postcards, things like that, so that they are aware of who you are. In San Francisco, this is kind of your list. There might be a couple more, so this is really easy to kind of handle. When you go to LA, there's over 300. So you need to narrow down what shows that you could really see yourself on, what shows use the type of person, you know, that you play a lot, so that you don't go crazy. Unions. So the main union now is SAG-AFTRA. If you're in theater, then it's equity. And SAG just means that you are, you know, you're on a union project. And it just means that you get paid more, usually. But the thing is that you want to do as much non-union work for experience before you start joining the ranks of SAG. Because when you get into SAG, then you are going to be competing with people that have done years and years of work. The union dues, I think it's cheaper to join up here in San Francisco than it is to join in LA. So if you can join up here, that would be awesome. I think it's $3,500 to join, and $5,000. Is it more? It's more now? Oh my gosh. Okay.
How much is it?
So it's several $1,000s to join. They do have payment plans though. So that's why I'm saying don't join the union until you have to join the union.
And when do you have to? After 3?
Okay, so sometimes you'll be Taft-Hartley'd into the union, which means the production company will pay the fine for you to get into the union, right? Sometimes you can get 3 vouchers on a set to be able to join the union. After the 3 vouchers, I think you're called what's a must join, and then your next SAG job, you have to join. So if you can book a job that pays enough to cover your union fees, I mean, that's like the dream, you know? But yeah, it does cost a lot to join the union, so don't join the union until you absolutely necessarily have to.
Is that an annual fee?
No, so it's that's just the dues. It's like somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. Look it up on
You
the
in and then you have dues.
You do have dues, so
It
the,
varies how much you work.
yeah. So it's generally like, for me, it's like something like $150 per 6 months or something like that to join the union.
But they also offer the benefits.
Yeah.
That some
Benefits, like they have health benefits if you if you work a certain amount. And then the lawyers, they have lawyers that you can use. So that was helpful to me because I did an American Express commercial a long time ago, and my name does not sound Asian. It was Giovanni Espiritu. They gave my money to the girl that had the Asian name. So I used the SAG lawyers to get that money. So that's helpful. Also, you're just, you have you have the access to the higher caliber jobs. That's the benefits of joining the union. Okay, so booking the work, what is the process? So say you have really great headshots and you're on, okay, so let's go the indie level first. Okay, so say you have really great headshots, something is casting, the casting director, the director or the screenwriter will send the script to the casting director. The casting director will go through the script, write down the characters, write down descriptions of the characters. That will be called the breakdown, okay? If you are independently submitting for it, it will probably be on one of these sites, Actors Access, SF Casting. You will have to read the breakdowns yourself and submit yourself for that role. This is on an indie level, okay? The casting director then will look at all the submissions that have come in and see which one he or she thinks would be right to fit in the part. Out of all those submissions, he or she will probably call in, 20, depending on what the size of the role is and like how many people they want to see. Probably about 20 to 40 people for that role. They will have auditions. From those auditions, they will make selects to bring to the director or producer, and then they will probably cast from there. For bigger jobs, the agent does that for you. So the casting director does a breakdown, the agent will send it. And the agents that I know, they're like, we love all of our clients, I will submit you as much as possible, but it's not up to me if you go in. The casting director is the one that selects who comes in. So if you're not being selected to come in, maybe it's something to do with your headshots. Maybe that you need to put yourself in front of the casting director through a workshop or, through postcards or whatever. So that's where that can kind of get, that's where you can, make a difference with either your headshots or, going to workshops to try to get yourself into the casting director's office. From the casting directors, the casting director will pick the people that they want from the different agencies to come in and audition. And then from that, they will have callbacks. And then sometimes if it's for a series regular role or for a bigger project, they will have producers callbacks. And then they will have network callbacks. And then you'll be put on check avail, which means that they're down to like 2 or 3 of you checking the availability on those dates, and then you will book the job. So, it's just different for, the caliber of the project, how much the budget is, like if it's TV, if it's film, if it's commercial. Casting season. Any questions on the auditioning stuff? Just like the process. Parents have to have a very, very flexible schedule because in LA, sometimes the commercial auditions are the same day, which is why a lot of LA agents and managers do not want to sign you unless you actually live in LA. In San Francisco, you generally get a day beforehand, but you still have to be really flexible. They try to have the kids auditions in the afternoon so that they can do the schoolwork, and get there after school. But sometimes you don't know. But you do have to have a flexible schedule. Let's see, anything else? Casting seasons. So they generally cast things year round, right? But the pilot season is generally January through April, March, April. That's when things are kind of crazy. But they are casting pilots year round. But that is the general January through April. If you are out of town and you have an LA agent, that's when they want to see a lot of stuff. You know, a lot of people. That's when all the new shows are getting picked up and being made, and networks are making decisions on whether they want to actually fund this for like 10 episodes. They say up here it's difficult for teenagers, so just know that. Like, teenagers, like, this is a great market for 8 to 11-year-olds. Teens do better in, you know, the LA or Portland, Oregon for the work, just because the companies are located there. But there's a lot of indie stuff that's going on, so you can build your resume before you go down to LA. Let me see. Right now it's episodic season, so that's like July through December is what they call episodic season, which is all the shows that are already kind of like on air. That's when they're making them. It's kind of dead, you know, end of December, and it's also dead usually from April to July. That's what I've heard, generally. But there are commercials happening all the time, and there's different stuff happening all the time. If you do not live in LA, and you do have an LA agent, you will probably be asked to do a self-tape, which means that you want to send in an audition, and here's the general things for the self-tape. I'm using general a lot. Ugh. Okay, whatever. So, if you have an iPhone, it's not vertical, it's horizontal, okay? So, use it horizontally, okay? So,
Only
yeah.
iPhones.
Huh, pardon?
Only iPhones?
Well, you just want a landscape. So you don't want it like the vertical. You want it landscape.
Like this.
Yeah, like that. So like this. However your phone is like this way, not this way. Okay. So when you send in a self-tape, sometimes they'll ask for a slate that's full body, and then just cut it or zoom in. But your audition should be like this. Okay. This is the general framing. A little bit over the head, a little bit underneath the armpits, but they want to see your face. Okay. No more than that. Unless it's like super sitcom and the physicality is important to it, but generally this much because they want to see your head. Okay, this framing. Do not do it directly into the camera unless it's a commercial that's supposed to be directly into the camera, or they specifically instruct you to read into the camera. Have a reader on the side of the camera, as close to the side of the camera as possible, that you do your scene with. If the reader, don't have the reader overshadow you, but, you know, yeah, don't have the reader overshadow you, and don't have it too soft. Just kind of know the levels of that. And you don't want the reader to be out here, because then we'll get your profile too much. Make sure that it's lit well, so no heavy shadows. If you can have an overhead light and like a light from a side source, that's good. And no stuff in the background, so not on a messy table, not with like pictures all over the background, as plain as possible for your self-tapes. Yeah, I think that's kind of it for self-tapes. Marketing, agents, casting, and press. So, for marketing, I know that this is kind of weird, so you have your social media accounts, right? And we talked about safety and all that stuff for kids. And if you're an adult that has a social media account, like the Twitter account, start following all of the casting directors that you make a list of. You don't want to be really weird and be like, I'm doing this all the time, you know? Like, even though it's good information, social media is not necessarily where you want to push yourself onto them. It's a way to get yourself into the conversation. So if you are looking at their feed and they're like, you know, I just visited this today, you could just say a quick something about, oh, I went there, blah, 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 and this is what I thought was great, you know. So ways to get into the conversation without necessarily pushing yourself onto them for the social media stuff. And it's not, remember, it's not about them coming to your show or whatever. It's about developing a relationship with them so that when they see your name and your face, they're like, oh yeah, this guy said this about this. Let's, you know, bring him in or whatever. But it takes a while. It's not like it's going to happen over one time. It is a process. So that's the way that you can use the social media accounts. That's why like a website's important, the Twitter is important, you know, your Instagram stuff. You know, if you have a lot of followers, that'll help them bring you in because you already have an audience. So agents, we talked about, you know, bringing them cookies or doing something like really nice for them, treating it like a relationship. Whenever you can, you know, keeping them updated in a nice way, not in a what are you doing for me way. Say casting, same thing with them, postcards, anytime you book, anytime that it airs, anytime you've taken a class, you could send out postcards. Try to keep it consistent. So it's not about just like doing a blast and then they don't hear from you 4 months, you know, 4 to 6 months, because they will forget you. It's about keeping it consistent. Not being annoying, but if you have something to say, if you have an announcement, maybe once a month, maybe once every 6 weeks, you know?
Announcement only acting gigs?
Yeah, acting gigs or, you know, any training that you've done. Yeah.
Like finishing your class, would that be?
That would be, but the thing, like up here, it'll matter. Because casting directors know me up here. In LA, it won't. When you guys go to LA, you want to have on your resume and the people that are known down there. Because it is about, you know, what has name value down there. So my name's not going to matter there. Up here, you know, people do respect me here, so that might help. I don't know.
Who do you send postcards to again? Do you send them to like your agent?
Not your agent. Agent I would do, you know, emails to, bring cookies to, because that's more of a personal direct relationship, right? Postcards are for the people that don't know you yet. So people that you want to develop a relationship with, like
So
develop
like
a
when I
working.
send them to like all of the casting directors like in the area or?
Yeah. So if you get new headshots, like I'll just kind of take you guys through a thing. If you guys get new headshots, you can be like, hey, I got new headshots. Send it all. Like 8 by 10. Like just wanted to give you these for your record, right? You could send, you know, your agent thank you cards. Thank you for helping me pick out these headshots. It seems like I'm really excited about what they're gonna do, you know. And then when you go into an audition, you could send them, you know, a thank you card. Thank you so much for, you know, calling me in for this role. If you do a workshop with that casting director, thank you so much for teaching me this. I really took this takeaway from it with your headshot and resume. So there's a lot of opportunities to develop that. And this is a smaller list so that you can get your, you know, get you guys in practice for the bigger stuff down in LA.
If you don't know the actual name, can you just like send it generally to Nancy Hayes Casting?
Yeah, I totally do that. If I don't know the actual name of the session runner, I will just send it to Nancy Hayes Casting and Company. Yeah.
A music gig wouldn't work though, right?
Oh, that would totally work for you.
It would?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I'd be like, hey guys, you know, JD Charisma, actor. I just want to let you know I have this performance here.
Gotcha.
You know? Anytime something shows at a film festival. That's cool.
That's for the casting directors, right?
Yeah, for casting directors.
That was sorry, is it okay if it was a self-submission and it hit the film festival, but you still share it with your agent?
Oh,
Like,
totally.
I just feel like I maybe would be stepping on the toes if I got work from someone else other than the agent sometimes, and I don't know where.
If the agent can use that to sell you though, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So if that's information that the agent can use, be like, oh, her short film, and I would include a still of it.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like just showed at this particular film festival.
Or the trailer.
Or the trailer, yeah.
Okay, right.
I don't know if they're gonna watch the trailer unless the trailer is like amazing.
Or it's like 8 seconds. I mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So maybe.
So keep your agent updated that way, and also you could send it to the casting directors too.
Okay. Any content that may seem relevant, right?
Yeah. And because you want to keep it quick and concise, I would probably do a still of, you know, just a still that's like really like compelling still, and be like, now showing in blah 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 blah. You know, because it's not about if they come to see it or not. It's just about getting your face there.
That's right.
And then the headshot on the back. And usually with what I include with the postcards is like a quick blurb about, like a quick bio blurb. Like, so here are my credits. This is what I'm currently working on right now. Cool, you know?
Great.
Our agent hasn't been really clear on what she will submit for an SF casting.
Okay.
Is it true, she said, don't ever let us, where she would submit and we would self-submit for the same, when she says casting directors will shut you down immediately?
They hate that, like
Okay.
casting directors. But
so
the
we
thing
need
is,
to get really clear with her what she submits for an SF casting.
I would say, if it's a bigger, like advertising
Right.
thing, then she's probably already submitted
Because
on
she's
it.
gotten her some very small things too up.
Huh.
So that's
okay. So that's where
there's a
the
gray area. So maybe this has to be another conversation.
Yeah.
Really, the clarity on that factor.
yeah, and I would phrase it and it's like, you know, I want to do as much as I can without stepping on your toes.
Right. Okay.
Like what are the parameters around that?
Okay.
You know.
Okay. So they do not like double submission. That's
They
a
don't.
bad
They
thing.
hate because it,
Okay.
it creates more work.
Okay.
And like everything, you guys, is about like efficiency of effort and like reducing risk. So if you have really great headshots, that reduces the risk that you're gonna come in and be a newbie. You know what I mean? For casting directors. Because if they only have 20 slots and they see somebody that is wasting their time, they will get really upset. Or if they call you in and you don't look like your headshot, they will get upset because, hey, I called this person in. Why is this person coming in? You know, it's just you're wasting their time and they don't have time to waste. So everything is kind of like if you double submit, then they have to go through the agents ones and these ones. Ooh, you know.
So like, for example, I'm with Nilo and my daughter's with Nilo, and if we get, like, I look myself at SF casting, and if I find something, I just screenshot it and email them and just say, can I submit? And they'll tell me yes, or I already submitted her.
Oh, cool.
So that's the way they do it. I
That's
know
easy.
everybody's different,
Okay.
but that
That's
is
probably
something
a-
that's really easy to do.
It's a yes or no
Screenshots
answer.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
they'll just
Yeah.
say yes or no.
Okay.
Yeah. As easy as you can make it for your agents, the better. Any other questions? It's open forum time now. Question.
Can you maybe elaborate on the differences between LA and San Francisco for somebody that might want to expand?
Okay, so differences between LA and San Francisco. San
Maybe
Francisco,
start with headshots
and then go down. Okay, so San Francisco is a very warm, fuzzy place to get started in the industry. Up here, parents and actors will watch each other's kids. Kids will encourage each other. It's great. I love it. It's a great place to start. In LA, totally different. Even when it comes to kids. And that's why you have to be very, know that you're doing this for the love of it. Know that when you go down for like 5 hours in the drive, you gotta, give your best for that 5 minutes that you have. From the waiting room to the audition and out. Because it's so competitive down there, and the parents are even competitive, where, one of my girls, when she went in for, what is that, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody with the Asian girl. So she was, she was going for the younger version of London Tipton, and she went into the casting office, and there were like all really cute Asian girls there, and one mom came out, and she was just like, "Oh, my daughter booked it. You guys can all go home."
Oh my God.
She just rocked it, and that's so like mean. Why would you do that? But that is how it is down there. It is kind of like all the kids down there. They are in class every single week. It's like it's so competitive. So that's like it's just it's a different energy. It's a different, you got to know what you're getting into when you go down there. So headshots up here, it's just it's a different style. Like San Francisco headshots, they feel more corporate. They feel more kind of like generic-y.
Not so creative.
Not so creative, yeah. LA gets a little bit edgier and it's a little bit more styled. But you don't need like LA quality headshots if you're just gonna stay in this market. Because I do both, it just makes more financial sense to get the LA ones because they work up here too. Let me see. With agents or the auditioning process, agents up here I feel, it just depends from agency to agency, but I feel like they're more family-like. In LA, it's very business-like. It's very like, okay, do I have space on my roster? Do I have this kind of person in this age group? Do I have that? Yes or no? Okay, then I'll see people in here. But in San Francisco, they might like you off of personality, you know, or, you know, and keep you for a while. But it just depends on who you get, because I feel like my agent and manager are awesome. I like them a lot. There is definitely more work down there, and I didn't realize that until I moved down there. Like, you know, I think in my head, like, oh yeah, San Francisco, we can make things happen up here, and you know, keep the industry going up here. But in LA, it's just everywhere. It is everywhere. There's so much work down there. It's just, you know, you have 88 commercial casting directors down there as opposed to 2. You have 300 film and TV casting directors down there. There is stuff constantly happening. And if you, I really believe, even though the competition is really fierce down there, the cream rises to the top, and if you're constantly getting better, you will, you know, you're going to be included in that top tier. And also, you guys have to think about the fact that not a lot of actors do the dual thing. Some, like, dual thing as in, like, they don't understand the marketing of it. And that will keep them, you know, like, kind of like insignificant. It doesn't matter. They don't matter. Because, like, if they don't have the marketing going on, then who's going to know about them? And then if they do have the marketing going on and they're horrible actors, then that doesn't help them either. So that's why you do have to have the dual-pronged approach of, like, being a really amazing actor and also having your marketing going on. Because it is a business. Yeah, and, like, from the time that for the, you know, small amount of time that I was helping with the casting sessions down there, I would say, like, 70% of the people were not prepared.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so odd.
Yeah. And you'll hear that from a lot of casting directors, too, where they're like, a lot of people don't come in prepared with their acting. So if you come in prepared and you do your work and you are the best actor that you can be and bring what you can to the role, even if you don't get the job, that's okay, because they will remember you. Because there are so many flakes down there. It's crazy. And then if you also have the marketing on top of it, where they, you know, where you understand that it is a business, you know.
Marketing meaning, I'm sorry, like.
Marketing meaning, like, you understand that, you know, you're developing relationships with casting directors. You're keeping on top of, you know.
So like the postcards.
The postcards. The treating it like a business. Not being crazy. You know, like, not being like, I'm gonna be a star. You know, like, going in there knowing, like, no, I'm coming in there for this role. And if I fit into this role, into your vision, then cool. And if I don't, then that's okay. You know, it's not gonna be a bad thing. Yeah, anything else?
Oh,
yeah.
Can you put background work on your resume?
I would not. The casting directors don't look at background work like a credit. So they basically look at it as like props that eat. And if anybody that has background work on their resume, they're kind of like, it's like a red flag of being a newbie. Just like if you list your commercials or don't have the right format on your resume, it gives a red flag that you're a newbie.
If you list your commercials.
Yeah, don't list your commercials, JD.
I don't.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah.
So no background work, no commercials.
No.
Anything else that shouldn't be on the resume?
Don't put your address on the resume because there are crazy people out there. So just phone number and email address. No addresses.
Skybolt makes a resume.
Yeah, it's fine.
That one's fine to use. It's different than the ones that I see other people have.
What's the difference with the Skybolt resume?
Just the whole format.
Okay, so it's not a 3-column format?
Right.
It's like, Skybolt is more for modeling though, so that's why I'm like, I would reformat one. Also with your resumes, guys, don't, make sure that the file name is your name. So sometimes I'll get resumes that are like a whole bunch of crazy numbers and letters, Make sure that it's your name resume, and it's a PDF so that when people open it, it's not crazy looking. Because some people can't open docx's. So make sure that, and also your business email address, make sure that it's professional, not like crazy girl 456. Just like simple things like that.
Say you get some sides and you're
Mhm.
going to LA, and you know nothing about nothing. No one can, you just get them. You have to figure it out yourself.
Okay.
What advice can you give the kids?
Okay. So say you get it. So say you get sides for a show. Okay, and they're not going to give you the full episode, right? Sometimes they will, but it's very, very rarely that they do. Here's the secret. Okay. Do your research on the show, the tone of the show, who the director is, because you'll probably have that information. Also, if you have an Actors Access account or a Showfax account, so you can ask your agent to give you the different sides for the show. But if you have a Showfax account, go to that particular episode, download all the sides for that particular episode. That'll give you more clues to make your choices from. So that's like a secret. Oh, here's another secret, you guys. Okay, so if you see a role that you think that you would be amazing for, and it's specific, okay? It's a specific role that you think you would be amazing for, and you fit it amazingly, okay? There's no variation on it. Self-tape yourself, send that link on a password-protected site to the director. Like Vimeo. You don't want to put it on YouTube on a public link because they're very protective of their stuff. But if it's a password protected link, then, and it works better for independent films than bigger shows.
Dropbox? Or just
You want to make it as easy as possible.
okay.
So if they have to download it off a Dropbox, then they probably won't do it. If it's just a link, then it's easier for them to click and then type in the password.
Is it sometimes good to take those, not only for what you're going to learn, but just so the casting director sees you?
Yes, and that's what I was saying. Like, once you make your list of casting directors, you want to target them.
Yeah, even just to meet them.
Even
if it's
just
a
to
matter
meet
of going
them.
to a class.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. Just be aware of there are some places that overcharge, I feel.
Yeah. I know
And
Nancy Hayes does a lot, and they all seem really reasonable and
Yeah.
kind of things.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
What's a good price range?
What do you mean? Oh, yeah,
Oh.
for here.
For here, I can see how it could be for like $135 because they have to fly them up and they have to pay for them. I can see that. There are ones that are like over $300 that I don't understand why people do them, but it's the only thing that they know, so that's why they do them. Any of the ones that like